12 signs only women with mature souls can do. As Carl Jung once said, the privilege of a lifetime is to become who you truly are. In today's video on spiritual wisdom, we will uncover the 12 powerful signs that only women with mature souls embody, signs that reflect depth, resilience, and wisdom far beyond appearances. These principles are not just observations. They are living truths you can apply in your own journey to grow, transform, and find greater happiness. As you listen, think about which of these signs resonate with you. Have you experienced them in your own life? Share your thoughts in the comments below. I'd love to hear your story, because every reflection adds to our collective wisdom. 1. Unquenchable search for meaning. She cannot be satisfied with material comfort alone, because her soul is wired for something far deeper than possessions, status, or fleeting pleasures. There is within her an unquenchable hunger for truth, a fire that never goes out, and it pushes her to seek meaning in every corner of existence. Spirituality is not a decoration in her life, but the very foundation of her being. And through this endless journey, she experiences what many call a spiritual awakening. Her heart is not stirred by luxury or shallow pursuits. Instead, she finds herself restless in places without depth, yearning for conversations that touch eternity and choices that align with her higher calling. This longing is not born of dissatisfaction, but of recognition. Recognition that life is more than survival and success, that beneath the noise of daily life lies a mystery too profound to be ignored. For this reason, she often walks a path that feels different from others. While many chase comfort, she pursues understanding. While others fill their days with distraction, she carves out time for silence, meditation, and reflection, knowing that wisdom cannot be found in endless noise, but only in stillness. She turns to the words of thinkers like Carl Jung and poets like Rumi, not for intellectual show, but because they echo the truths she feels in her own spirit. She understands that the body will wither, wealth will fade, but the soul continues to evolve, and this awareness shapes every decision she makes. When she speaks, her words carry weight, not because they are rehearsed, but because they flow from a place of lived experience, of having asked and wrestled with questions that many avoid. Her search for meaning gives her a radiance no cosmetic can create, a light that shines through her eyes and infuses her presence with an undeniable energy. Men who encounter her often feel both inspired and unsettled, because she does not allow them to remain on the surface. To know her is to be challenged to look inward, to face one's own unanswered questions, to confront the gap between outer success and inner fulfillment. This is why she is unforgettable. She becomes a mirror that reflects not only who you are, but who you might become. She shows that life is not a straight line of achievement, but a spiral of awakening. And those who walk beside her are often pulled into that spiral, compelled to grow, to awaken, to search for their own meaning. Her mature soul carries echoes of many lifetimes, wisdom woven through joys and wounds, victories and losses. That is why she is never afraid of the shadows within herself, for she knows even darkness holds lessons. The unquenchable search for meaning transforms her restlessness into a compass, guiding her toward experiences that elevate not only her, but those around her. She becomes a living example of Jung's insight that the privilege of a lifetime is to become who you truly are, because her life is a testimony that becoming is not an endpoint, but a sacred journey. And as she continues to seek, she invites others to awaken alongside her, reminding them that true youth, vitality, and beauty are not sustained by resisting time, but by aligning with the eternal flow of the Spirit. Are you ready to embrace the unquenchable search for meaning? If so, comment below, "I choose wisdom," to show your commitment to this powerful journey. 2. Mysterious connection to certain places or times. There are women whose souls are so mature that when they enter a certain place or encounter a tradition, a culture, or even a landscape, they feel an unexplainable recognition rising from within, as though some forgotten part of themselves has returned home. It is not simply nostalgia or imagination, but rather the timeless journey of the soul revealing itself in subtle whispers. Carl Jung, the great psychologist of the unconscious, spoke of how the soul carries the accumulated wisdom of the collective unconscious, holding memories and impressions that extend far beyond the limits of one single life. When such a woman finds herself standing before an ancient temple, walking down the narrow streets of a foreign city, or hearing a melody in a language she does not understand, she does not feel like a stranger. Instead, something deep inside her stirs, a feeling of belonging, of remembering, of knowing without explanation. This is the mark of a mature soul, to experience the present moment not as an isolated event, but as part of a continuum that stretches through unseen time and space. You can imagine how powerful this is. Perhaps she stands at the base of a mountain she has never climbed, yet feels its strength resonate within her own bones. Perhaps she sees a ritual in a faraway land and senses that its rhythm is already inscribed in her heart. These moments are not random. They are signs that her soul has touched these places before, or that it carries within it echoes of lives lived and wisdom gained. This spiritual wisdom is what sets her apart from the ordinary. While most people only see the surface of a landscape or the novelty of a culture, she perceives something sacred woven through it all. As Carl Jung wrote, "Who looks outside, dreams. Who looks inside, awakes." The mature soul awakens precisely because she listens to these signals instead of dismissing them. She honors them as guidance, as reminders that her life is part of a greater whole. Modern society often demands logic, proof, and measurable reasons for every feeling. Yet the woman with a mature soul knows that the deepest truths cannot be reduced to numbers or explained away by science. She recognizes that her mysterious pull towards certain times and places is not an illusion, but a gift. It is her soul whispering that life is more than linear progress, more than the clock and the calendar. This is what we call a true spiritual awakening. The moment when you stand beside a river you have never seen before and feel as though its waters once carried your reflection, or when you hear the chants of a tradition you have never practiced, yet somehow feel your spirit rise with every note. These are not accidents. They are reminders of the eternal memory the soul carries. Such recognition is not only beautiful, but also transformative. For a woman with a mature soul, it becomes a compass that shapes her choices, her relationships, and her destiny. She cannot ignore the feeling because it is part of who she is. She walks through life not as a passive traveler, but as a guardian of hidden wisdom, carrying the stories of many ages within her. When you meet her, you will sense that she is both ancient and new, grounded yet limitless. And in her presence, something in your own soul may awaken too. You might feel a stirring, a quiet reminder that you are also part of this cosmic story. The poet Rumi once said, "Don't get lost in your pain. Know that one day your pain will become your cure." The woman with a mature soul understands this, not because she has read it, but because she has lived it across time. Her mysterious connection to places, traditions, and moments is not bound by logic, but by the eternal thread of memory and spirit. She is not limited to the body she wears or the age she carries. She is living proof that the soul dances across centuries and that its wisdom reveals itself in the most ordinary yet extraordinary encounters. This is the essence of spiritual wisdom, the kind that Carl Jung devoted his life to exploring, reminding us that the soul is vast, timeless, and always ready to awaken in the places where we least expect it. 3. Deep compassion and empathy. A woman with a mature soul carries within her a well of deep compassion and empathy that flows effortlessly, not from obligation, but from her natural awareness of human interconnectedness. Carl Jung spoke of the collective unconscious, a shared reservoir of memory and experience that binds us all. And in her presence, you feel this truth come alive. She feels another's suffering as if it were her own, not because she tries, but because her heart is finely tuned to the subtle vibrations of human emotion. When someone near her is hurting, she does not need words to know it. She senses the weight in their silence, the tremor in their voice, the heaviness behind their smile, and she responds not with pity, but with genuine understanding. Her empathy is not something learned or practiced. It is the essence of her being, a sign of spirituality and spiritual growth that transcends the surface-level kindness often performed in society. In the noise of modern life, where people are buried under work, distracted by screens, and disconnected from one another, such a woman shines like a rare light. She is the friend who checks on you without being asked, the co-worker who notices your unspoken struggles, or the stranger who offers warmth when the world seems cold. Thoreau once said, "Could a greater miracle take place than for us to look through each other's eyes for an instant?" And a woman with a mature soul lives in that miracle daily. Her compassion stretches beyond her circle. She feels the pain of the world, whether it is the grief of a stranger, the injustice of society, or the suffering of the earth itself. She does not turn away from these burdens, but carries them with grace, transforming sorrow into action, showing through her presence that true love is not in words, but in deeds. This depth of empathy, however, is not without cost. To feel so deeply is to carry the risk of exhaustion, and women with mature souls often know the weight of compassion fatigue. Yet, rather than harden their hearts, they choose a different path. They learn balance. They rest when needed, nurture their inner world, and practice self-care, understanding that even the strongest flame must be tended, or it will burn out. In doing so, they teach us that compassion is not endless sacrifice, but wise giving, that the power to heal others must be paired with the wisdom to protect one's own spirit. Her spirituality is lived, not spoken. She reminds us that to truly grow is to embrace both tenderness and strength, to feel deeply without drowning, and to offer love without losing oneself. Sensitivity is not weakness, but sacred power. In a culture that glorifies hardness and detachment, she shows that the ability to feel, to care, and to empathize is the greatest force for transformation. When you meet such a woman, honor her presence, for she embodies the spiritual wisdom that Carl Jung believed could illuminate the hidden truths of our shared humanity. Her life is a quiet lesson. Let compassion guide your steps. Let empathy be your bridge to others, and let your spirituality lead you into growth, healing, and love not only for the world, but also for your own soul. If this message about deep compassion and empathy resonates with you, comment below, "I agree." If you see it differently, share your perspective with, "I don't think so." Let's start a meaningful conversation together. 4. Inner calm in chaos. In moments of crisis, when the world seems to collapse into noise and confusion, she does not lose herself in fear or rush to control what cannot be controlled, for her spirit has been tempered by both light and shadow, teaching her that storms are not meant to break us, but to awaken something deeper within. Carl Jung once said, "The privilege of a lifetime is to become who you truly are." And she embodies this privilege fully, for she has journeyed through suffering, heartbreak, and disappointment. Yet instead of letting bitterness shape her, she chose understanding, integration, and trust in life's greater rhythm. Her calm is not a mask she wears to hide her feelings, but a strength born from the quiet knowledge that chaos too has meaning. And it is this unshakable rootedness that sets her apart. When panic fills a room, her presence alone steadies others without words, reminding them that peace is still possible, and in her balance, they find the courage to breathe again. This is not passivity, but an active choice to remain grounded, an energy that transforms fear into trust, uncertainty into clarity. She carries within her the wisdom of the collective unconscious, what Jung described as the timeless memory of the human soul. And this wisdom speaks through her silence more powerfully than speeches ever could. Her calm does not mean she has avoided life's struggles. It means she has embraced them and emerged with grace, refusing to let her wounds define her. She knows the weight of loss and the sting of betrayal, yet she has chosen forgiveness over bitterness, patience over reaction, presence over distraction. That is why, when she stands in the middle of chaos, she is not shaken, because she has already walked through inner storms that most never dare to face. In a modern world obsessed with noise, speed, and shallow solutions, her stillness becomes magnetic, drawing others toward her like thirsty souls drawn to water. Picture a workplace erupting with fear of collapse, or a family torn apart by conflict. She enters not with force, but with presence, and her stability becomes the hidden anchor that holds everyone together. This is the rare beauty of a mature soul. She does not just calm herself, she restores balance to others, becoming proof that true strength is quiet, resilient, and deeply spiritual. Men who encounter her recognize, often without knowing why, that this quality is not common. It is the mark of someone who is awakened, who has chosen to live with depth rather than distraction. And in witnessing her, they too are reminded that real maturity is not about age or control, but about cultivating the courage to remain steady when everything else falls apart. 5. Visionary foresight. A woman with a mature soul carries within her a rare gift that Carl Jung would describe as a reflection of the collective unconscious. And one of the most powerful signs of this is her visionary foresight. She can sense cultural, spiritual, and collective shifts long before they become visible to the rest of the world, as if her inner compass is tuned to the deeper rhythms of life that others cannot hear. While most people only recognize change once it arrives and disrupts their reality, she feels the whispers of transformation in her intuition, like an underground current moving silently before it breaks the surface. This makes her ahead of her time, but also misunderstood or even isolated, because people around her cannot yet grasp what she already knows in her heart. She learns to carry this solitude with grace, because she understands that truth often appears as a stranger before it becomes common wisdom. Carl Jung once said, "Your vision will become clear only when you look into your own heart. Who looks outside dreams. Who looks inside awakes." This captures the essence of her foresight, for she does not rely on the fleeting noise of the external world, but listens to the quiet voice within. By turning inward, she awakens to patterns, cycles, and hidden meanings that most overlook. And this spiritual wisdom gives her the ability to perceive what is about to unfold. She might feel the growing hunger for authenticity when society is still intoxicated by illusions. Or she may notice a return to simplicity while the world is still caught in excess. To others, her insights may sound like warnings or even strange prophecies, but as time passes, they prove to be true. This foresight is not about fortune-telling, but about perceiving the subtle undercurrents of human energy, culture, and consciousness. She feels them before they crystallize into reality. And this is why women with mature souls are often drawn to spirituality and spiritual awakening. They understand that the external world is only a reflection of the inner one, and that collective change begins in the invisible space of thought, feeling, and intention. Such awareness often places them in the role of guides, healers, or teachers, even if they never consciously sought that path, because people naturally turn to those who can see further than the horizon. Yet this gift does not come without its burdens. To be in a room where everyone is celebrating what you already know is fading, or to warn of a coming storm when others see only blue skies, is to carry the weight of loneliness. But solitude teaches her strength, and isolation becomes a sanctuary where she learns to trust her inner knowing. Rumi expressed it beautifully. Try to accept the changing seasons of your soul, even if you have never walked this way before. In this acceptance lies her power, for she understands that foresight is not a curse, but a sacred responsibility, a call to honor what she perceives even if others are not ready. Over time, this visionary quality makes her magnetic, even to those who cannot explain why they are drawn to her. People feel that she carries a truth larger than herself, a wisdom that transcends time and circumstance, and they sense that her presence itself is a reminder of something eternal. She becomes a beacon for those beginning to awaken, a gentle but firm light that guides others to see beyond appearances. Her ability to embody both patience and conviction allows her to stand in her truth without demanding that others follow, because she knows that time will eventually reveal what her soul already saw. To be such a woman is to live in the paradox of both pain and beauty, carrying the loneliness of being misunderstood, yet the quiet joy of knowing she is connected to something far greater than herself. This is the mark of a mature soul. She does not merely witness history, she feels it in her bones before it arrives, and in carrying this foresight, she becomes a living testament to Carl Jung's insight that those who awaken to the unconscious do not do so for themselves alone, but for the collective. If you believe that visionary foresight is a gift of the mature soul, show your support by liking this video, subscribing to the channel, and sharing your insights in the comments below. Let's grow in wisdom together. 6. Need for solitude. When a woman with a mature soul seeks solitude, it is not because she rejects the world or distances herself from people, but because she understands that her inner world must be nourished with the same devotion that her outer life requires. Solitude becomes her sacred ritual, a sanctuary where she reconnects with her essence and allows her spirit to breathe. Carl Jung once said, "Who looks outside, dreams. Who looks inside, awakes." And for women walking the path of spirituality and spiritual growth, solitude is not loneliness, it is awakening. Think of a modern woman balancing work, family, and countless obligations. Her phone never stops buzzing. Colleagues look to her for guidance, and loved ones rely on her strength. Yet within all this noise, she feels a profound pull to step back, to retreat into silence for a while. Maybe she takes a quiet walk under the trees, writes in her journal at a cafe, or simply sits by her window, watching the evening sky. These are not moments of escape, but moments of return to herself, to her soul, to the deep well of wisdom within. Society may pressure her to always be available and endlessly productive, but she knows that her truest productivity, her clearest insights, and her deepest love flow only from stillness. Without these sacred pauses, she risks becoming drained and detached from her essence. When you meet such a woman, you can sense the difference immediately. Her calm presence radiates a quiet strength. Her words carry weight, and her eyes reflect a depth that only solitude can give. This practice is not new. Great visionaries, mystics, and artists throughout history, Rumi, Thoreau, Jung himself, understood solitude as the birthplace of wisdom and creativity. Women with mature souls mirror this timeless truth in their everyday lives. They may decline an invitation not from indifference, but from reverence for their inner sanctuary. And when they re-emerge, they do so renewed, carrying light, healing, and inspiration for those around them. In a world addicted to noise, choosing solitude can look unusual, but it is an act of profound courage. It takes strength to listen to the quiet voice of the soul over the clamor of the crowd. If you, too, feel this need for sacred alone time, honor it without guilt. Solitude is not selfish. It is soul care. Protect your inner space the way you protect your home, and you will discover that far from isolating you, it expands your capacity to love, to create, and to serve with authenticity. The truth is simple, yet powerful. Your moments of solitude are not empty. They are fertile ground where your spirituality takes root and your spiritual growth blossoms. From this space of silence and renewal, you rise stronger, clearer, and more deeply connected to the life you were always meant to live. 7. Detachment from materialism. A woman with a mature soul carries within her a kind of wealth that no possession can rival, because she has long discovered that happiness does not come from what you own, but from who you are. While the world runs after shiny objects, chasing promotions, cars, or luxury brands as proof of success, she stands apart with quiet confidence, knowing that these things can never touch the depth of her being. She may admire beauty, but she does not cling to it. for her heart is not captured by labels or price tags. Her joy rests in simplicity, in living authentically, and in the silent growth of her spirit, because she understands that real abundance is measured not by what fills her home, but by what fills her soul. Her detachment from materialism does not mean she rejects comfort or beauty. Rather, she does not confuse them with meaning. Carl Jung reminded us that individuation is the path of becoming our true selves beyond society's masks, and she embodies that wisdom. She knows money may buy a softer bed, but it cannot buy peaceful sleep. It may open doors of recognition, but it cannot give respect. It may decorate her surroundings, but it cannot decorate her heart. While others may live enslaved by possessions, she moves freely, her worth glowing from within like a steady flame that needs no fuel from the outside world. In today's culture, where social media parades endless images of luxury vacations, expensive gadgets, and carefully curated lifestyles, many lose themselves chasing illusions. Yet a woman with a mature soul sees through this game. She is not impressed by excess, because she knows that behind the curtain of materialism lies emptiness. If you were to walk beside her through a grand store, you would notice that her sense of joy does not rise or fall with the items on display. She may smile, she may admire, but she remains whole with or without them. This detachment makes her magnetic, because people sense in her a freedom they themselves long for but cannot name. Men especially may find her both challenging and inspiring, for she reminds them that chasing status or possessions will never bring the satisfaction they seek. Her presence is like a mirror reflecting back your own restless desires, urging you to consider what really matters. She does not preach, but her life quietly teaches that less is often more, that stillness is stronger than noise, and that the richest treasure lies not in possessions, but in the unfolding of the soul. Her strength lies not in denial, but in choice, not in poverty, but in perspective. She chooses growth over greed, truth over appearances, and meaning over status. Her detachment is her sovereignty, and it allows her to walk in the world without being consumed by it. In her presence, you feel the possibility of your own spiritual awakening, as if her freedom could awaken a freedom in you too. She is proof that material things fade, but the maturity of the soul endures, and she invites you without words, but with her very being, to step into that same truth. If this truth about detachment from materialism resonates with your soul, declare it in the comments. I value wisdom over wealth, and my spirit is free. 8. Affinity with children and elders. A woman with a mature soul carries within her an extraordinary gift that reveals itself in the way she effortlessly bonds with both children and elders, for she sees purity and truth in the young and wisdom in the old. Carl Jung, whose spiritual wisdom continues to guide seekers, once said, "The privilege of a lifetime is to become who you truly are," and such a woman lives this truth by moving gracefully between innocence and experience. When she kneels to listen to a child, she does not dismiss their playful stories as meaningless chatter, but instead she honors their imagination as a reflection of an uncorrupted soul still connected to the essence of life. When she sits with an elder, she does not grow impatient with their repetitions or silence, but rather treats each memory as a sacred pearl of wisdom, honoring their journey and the lessons only time can give. This unique ability to embrace both ends of life's spectrum shows that she understands something most overlook, that the soul speaks through every stage of life, and that both the beginning and the nearing completion of the journey hold truths that the busy middle years often miss. Her presence with children makes them feel seen, understood, and safe, as if she recognizes the eternal light within them, while elders feel a profound respect from her that goes beyond social courtesy, for she acknowledges the weight of their lived experience and the wisdom carved by struggle and endurance. Such a connection is not mere kindness, it is spiritual awakening in motion, because she sees through the illusion of time and recognizes that the soul exists beyond age, carrying both innocence and depth within. Her affinity with children and elders is a reflection of her humility and authenticity, for she does not seek relationships based on power, status, or convenience, but is drawn instead to what is raw, true, and enduring. In children, she finds honesty without masks, and in elders, she finds stories that are mirrors of resilience and grace. Carl Jung believed in the collective unconscious, a timeless well of memory and wisdom, and this explains why a mature soul can move seamlessly between generations, bridging gaps that others cannot. Through her, we are reminded that the soul is not bound by years, but is eternal, that innocence and wisdom are not opposites, but reflections of the same truth expressed at different points in life's circle. The woman with a mature soul becomes a living bridge between the laughter of the young and the quiet strength of the old, embodying Jung's words, "Who looks outside, dreams. Who looks inside, awakes." Her life is an awakening to the reality that the most powerful lessons often come not from the noise of the world, but from the voices of those societies that often overlook the purity of children and the depth of elders. And in her ability to honor both, she shows us the essence of spiritual wisdom, teaching us that the soul itself is ageless, timeless, and forever awake. 9. Spiritual orientation. Her spirituality is never confined by dogma or rigid structures, because for her, faith is not a checklist of rules, but a living, breathing experience that flows through every part of her being. She draws wisdom from many traditions, blending insights from ancient philosophies, sacred texts, and personal experience into a way of life that honors the sacred in everything. Carl Jung once said, "Who looks outside, dreams. Who looks inside, awakes." And her life reflects this truth perfectly, for she does not chase external validation, but instead turns inward, finding clarity and strength in her own soul. This orientation makes her presence magnetic. She carries an aura of peace that speaks louder than words, showing that true spirituality is not proclaimed but lived. You may notice it when you meet such a woman, the way she listens to you with complete attention, the way she finds meaning in preparing a simple meal, or how she walks through a crowded city yet remains centered, like a calm river flowing through chaos. These qualities are not random. They are the fruit of long years of spiritual growth, of choosing again and again to see life itself as her temple. She does not limit herself to one path, because she knows truth cannot be caged. Instead, she sees every culture, every teaching, and every challenge as another chance to learn and to expand. In her, you will not find judgment or arrogance, but compassion, acceptance, and the ability to see the divine spark in everyone she meets. This is why her spirituality feels so authentic, because it is woven into her ordinary moments. When she wakes to the sunrise, she breathes in gratitude. When she faces hardship, she turns it into a lesson rather than a wound. When she speaks, her words carry weight, not because they are loud, but because they are rooted in experience. Spirituality is not about following rules handed down by others, but about awakening to the sacred that is already around and within you. Spiritual growth does not make you separate from life, but draws you deeper into it, allowing you to see beauty even in the mundane, to remain steady even in storms, and to love without conditions. Ask yourself now, how can you make your life a sacred practice? Can you see your morning coffee as a ritual of gratitude, your walk as meditation, or your relationships as opportunities to honor the divine spark in others? For this is the quiet secret of mature souls. They live each day as both student and teacher, and through their presence remind you that enlightenment is not hidden in distant mountains, but revealed in the simplicity of living with awareness, reverence, and love. If you've connected with this message about spiritual orientation, comment below, "I walk with spirit." Your voice helps us grow together. 10. Depth in the eyes. Her gaze carries a depth that cannot be taught, for within it lives the wisdom of experiences embraced, shadows integrated, and truths that many spend a lifetime avoiding. When you meet her eyes, it feels as if time slows, as if the noise of the world fades, and suddenly you are no longer just looking at a woman. You are looking into a mirror that reflects your hidden battles, your silent victories, and the corners of your soul you often keep concealed. It is why some find her presence unsettling, while others find it healing, because being seen in this way is to be recognized beyond masks and appearances, beyond roles and achievements, at the level of spirit itself. Carl Jung spoke of the soul's journey toward wholeness, reminding us that one does not become enlightened by imagining figures of light, but by making the darkness conscious. And in her gaze, you can feel the truth of that, because she does not turn away from darkness. She has embraced it, transformed it, and now carries it as quiet power in her eyes. Men who encounter such a woman often describe the sensation as if her eyes hold 1,000 stories, not just of this life, but of many lifetimes, as though she is connected to something ancient and unshakable. There is no need for her to explain, because her eyes speak a silent language of endurance, compassion, and understanding that words can never fully capture. You sense in her a kind of timelessness, the mark of someone who has walked through pain and beauty alike, and who has allowed those experiences to carve wisdom into her very being. When she looks at you, it is not a casual glance, but a quiet invitation to drop the armor, to let go of the noise, to face the truth of who you are and who you might become. In the modern world, where attention is scattered and connections are often shallow, her gaze feels like an anchor. It pulls you out of the endless chase for more success, more possessions, more distractions, and brings you back to yourself. There is an almost spiritual gravity in her presence, a reminder that life is not only about the external, but about the inner landscapes that shape everything we do. It is no accident that such women are rare, because to reach this level of maturity requires courage, patience, and a willingness to embrace solitude, to face heartbreak, to grow from wounds instead of hiding them. Her eyes reveal not only her own journey, but also awaken within you a call to begin or deepen your own. To be looked at by her is to stand before a living embodiment of spirituality and spiritual awakening. For she carries in her gaze the balance of shadow and light, the weight of silence and the promise of truth. Some men recoil from it because they are not ready to be seen in such fullness, while others are drawn closer, finding comfort in being recognized without judgment. But for anyone who dares to meet her gaze fully, it becomes a transformative experience, one that stirs the soul and reminds you that the deepest connections are not formed through words, but through presence, honesty, and the courage to look both outward and inward without turning away. 11. Strong intuition. Her intuition is not just a passing feeling, but a deep inner compass that guides her through life with clarity and strength, often more accurately than logic itself. While the world around her hesitates, doubts, or calculates endlessly, she trusts this inner voice that speaks from beyond reason, and time and again it proves to be right. Carl Jung once said, "Intuition is perception via the unconscious," and this truth describes her perfectly, because her knowing does not come only from her personal experience, but from a vast reservoir of spiritual wisdom connected to the collective unconscious. It is why she can step onto paths others avoid, make choices that seem irrational to the outside world, and yet watch those very choices unfold into profound correctness. In everyday situations, this gift reveals itself clearly. She may feel a quiet certainty about which relationship nurtures her soul and which drains her, about when to move toward a new opportunity or when to close a chapter, about which people to trust even before they show their true colors. Others may spend days analyzing every possible option, but she simply listens within, and her intuition delivers guidance that logic cannot match. It does not mean she is never questioned or doubted, but even in the face of skepticism, she understands that betraying her intuition would be betraying her very essence. This trust is not arrogance, but alignment, born of many experiences where her inner knowing saved her from mistakes others fell into. Carl Jung described such souls as bearers of echoes of ancestral wisdom, archetypes, and timeless truths, and her intuition is nothing less than that wisdom rising into consciousness. Albert Einstein captured this balance when he said, "The intuitive mind is a sacred gift, and the rational mind is a faithful servant." She honors reason, yet she never lets it silence the sacred gift of her intuition. And it is this balance that gives her presence an aura of depth and power, as though she sees through layers of reality others cannot. Everyone has felt the sting of ignoring intuition, trusting someone who later betrayed you, staying in a situation that drained your spirit, or walking down a path you knew deep down was wrong. The mature soul has lived these lessons too, but unlike most, she quickly learns to refine her listening. Each experience strengthens her trust in that still voice within, until her faith in it becomes unshakable. Spiritual awakening has taught her that the universe whispers first, and only when you ignore the whispers does it shout through chaos and pain. That is why she listens early, avoids unnecessary suffering, and walks a path aligned with her destiny. Strong intuition is the sign that defines her essence and sets her apart. It is the silent language of her soul, the channel through which spiritual wisdom flows, and the force that gives her direction even in times of uncertainty. Carl Jung reminded us, Until you make the unconscious conscious, it will direct your life and you will call it fate. The woman with a mature soul has already begun this work. She listens, she trusts, she transforms intuition into awareness, and awareness into strength. This is why, though her life may not be free of challenges, it always carries a depth, a meaning, and a spiritual power that cannot be shaken. 12. Penetrating understanding of human nature. A woman with a mature soul carries within her a rare gift, a penetrating understanding of human nature that allows her to see beyond appearances and into the hidden truths that others conceal. She notices what most overlook: the quiet sorrow behind a smile, the insecurity masked by confidence, the anger that hides unhealed wounds. This clarity becomes her protection, for she is not easily deceived, yet it also makes her heart softer, for she understands that beneath every mask lies a story of pain. Carl Jung once observed, "Your vision will become clear only when you can look into your own heart. Who looks outside dreams. Who looks inside awakes." Through her inner awakening, she develops the ability to awaken compassion rather than judgment, choosing to respond with empathy where others might condemn. Yet this extraordinary vision often leads her into a kind of sacred loneliness. While the world thrives on facades and superficial connections, her soul hungers for authenticity, for depth, for honesty that few are ready to give. She can be surrounded by people and still feel a distance, as though she is tuned into a frequency no one else hears. But instead of being a burden, this solitude becomes the soil where spirituality grows stronger. In silence, she learns to embrace her own depth, to anchor herself in divine truth, and to walk through life with a heart that understands without needing words. Her loneliness transforms into strength, reminding her that spiritual growth sometimes requires walking paths that others fear to tread. In the modern world, you may have seen her without realizing it. She is the colleague who senses the unspoken tension in a meeting, the friend who notices the weariness in your eyes before you admit it, the quiet presence who offers a kind word that soothes wounds you never shared aloud. People call it intuition, a sixth sense, but it is truly the wisdom of a soul that listens beyond what is spoken. Her insight is invisible yet undeniable, shaping her actions and creating ripples of healing wherever she goes. This is not a gift meant to expose others. It is a sacred responsibility to nurture, to guide, and to protect. The deeper lesson is that when you cultivate your own spiritual growth, you begin to see life differently too. You stop being fooled by appearances and start recognizing the humanity behind every facade. You learn that your gift of perception is not for judgment, but for understanding, not for superiority, but for service. As Rumi said, "The wound is the place where the light enters you." Just as she sees the hidden wounds of others, she has learned to embrace her own pain as the doorway to wisdom. She carries the scars of experience, but instead of bitterness, she radiates compassion. To walk with such awareness is to live with both burden and blessing. For true maturity of the soul means seeing clearly while choosing to love anyway. A woman with this gift knows that her insight is not meant to isolate her, but to illuminate the path for others. She reminds us all that behind every mask, there is a heart longing to be understood, and behind every facade, there is a soul searching for healing. Her very presence teaches us that spirituality is not about escaping the world, but about entering it with eyes wide open, with the courage to see, and with the compassion to heal. If this insight into human nature resonates with you, affirm your wisdom by commenting below, "I see beyond the surface." Your words may inspire others to look deeper into the truth of who we are. As we've explored today, Carl Jung reminds us that the presence of a mature soul shines through in unique ways, whether it's wisdom that transcends age, compassion that touches others deeply, or the ability to see life with clarity and grace. These 12 signs are not just traits to recognize in others, but principles we can all strive to embody for our own growth and fulfillment. By embracing these qualities, you invite more peace, purpose, and happiness into your daily life. Which of these signs resonated with you the most? Share your thoughts in the comments below. I'd love to hear your experiences. And don't forget to like this video, subscribe to Spiritual Wisdom, and turn on the notification bell so you never miss insights that inspire your journey. Carl Jung's Synchronicity, the hidden patterns that shape your life. Until you make the unconscious conscious, it will direct your life and you will call it fate. Carl Jung. Welcome to Spiritual Wisdom, where today we explore the fascinating idea of synchronicity and the hidden patterns shaping your life. These moments are not mere coincidences. They are meaningful connections between your inner world and the universe around you. Imagine what could change if you recognized and applied these principles to your daily life. How much clarity, growth, and happiness might unfold. As you listen, I invite you to reflect on your own experiences of synchronicity and share them in the comments below, because your story might be the missing piece of wisdom someone else needs. 1. Jung's Early Visions and the Birth of Synchronicity. As a child and young adult, Jung was haunted by intense dreams, startling visions, and strange phenomena, such as objects breaking on their own. At first, these experiences filled him with fear, making him question his own sanity. Yet beneath the terror was a profound realization. Life was not ruled purely by chance. These events seemed to follow a deeper rhythm, pointing toward patterns that were invisible yet meaningful. What others might have dismissed as accidents, Jung began to interpret as signs of connection between the inner world of the psyche and the outer events of reality. This awakening marked the beginning of his lifelong quest to understand the unconscious and its mysterious dialogue with the physical world. He came to see that dreams, visions, and even the smallest coincidences could hold messages that bridge spirit and matter, revealing an order that reason alone could not explain. Far from madness, these early experiences became doorways into a larger truth that the unconscious is not only personal, but also collective, shaping and reflecting the universe itself. Through this lens, spirituality became not an escape from life, but a deep engagement with its hidden structure. Jung's early visions remind us that what we fear as chaos may actually be the first glimpse of higher intelligence at work. Each synchronicity, each meaningful coincidence, carries with it the potential for spiritual awakening, showing us that the world is alive with purpose. When we learn to read these patterns, as Jung did, we begin to understand that our lives are not random, but guided, unfolding through a delicate dance between psyche, spirit, and reality itself. 2. Collective unconscious and archetypes. Carl Jung realized that his own visions echoed great world events like the First World War, and from this, he developed the idea of the collective unconscious, a hidden layer of the human psyche that belongs not just to the individual, but to all of humanity. Within it live archetypes, universal patterns of meaning such as the hero, the mother, the shadow, and the wise old man. These archetypes are not inventions of culture, but timeless images that shape how people think, feel, and act, surfacing in myths, stories, dreams, and even the choices we make. They are invisible frameworks that guide spiritual development, connecting us to the experiences of countless generations before us. Jung also showed that archetypes are tied to synchronicity, those mysterious, meaningful coincidences when inner experience aligns with outer events. A sudden meeting, a recurring dream, or an unexpected sign at the right moment are not accidents, but messages from the deeper fabric of life. They reveal that your personal journey is woven into something greater, and that spirituality is not separate from daily events, but alive in the very patterns you encounter. By recognizing these moments, you begin to see life not as random, but as filled with purpose, where every coincidence has the power to guide you toward growth. Archetypes teach that the shadow is not to be feared, but to be faced, for within it lies wisdom, that the hero's path is your own, inviting you to overcome trials and rise to your higher self, and that the wise old man appears whenever you are ready to receive guidance, whether through a mentor, a book, or an inner voice. Synchronicity, in turn, invites you to pay attention, to ask what message is being revealed, and to align your choices with the deeper truths unfolding in your life. Through the collective unconscious and the archetypes within it, Jung revealed that human beings are not isolated, but deeply connected to one another and to the universe itself. Every dream, symbol, and coincidence becomes a doorway to greater awareness, reminding you that your life is part of a vast and meaningful design. By honoring these hidden patterns, you step into spiritual development, awaken wisdom, and discover that your journey belongs not just to you, but to the collective soul of humanity. Do you feel the pull of the collective unconscious and the archetypes shaping your path? If you believe this truth, comment with faith. I awaken to the wisdom of the collective unconscious. 3. Synchronicity as a principle beyond causality. Synchronicity is not a random coincidence, but a meaningful pattern that reveals the hidden intelligence of life. Carl Jung used this word to describe events that are not linked by cause and effect, yet are bound by meaning, showing us that psyche and matter are two sides of the same fabric. He called this the unus mundus, the one world where inner and outer reality are connected. When you think of a person and they suddenly call, or when a symbol appears at the exact moment you need guidance, these are not accidents, but invitations to see that life itself speaks in signs. Until you make the unconscious conscious, it will direct your life and you will call it fate. Jung reminded us, and synchronicity is one of the ways the unconscious becomes visible. This principle challenges the narrow belief that everything must have a material cause. It suggests that meaning itself is a form of connection, that your inner world and the outer world move in alignment beyond time and space. To notice synchronicity is to awaken to the reality that life is not mechanical, but intelligent, not chaotic, but intentional. Every symbol, every dream, every encounter can carry a message meant to guide your growth. Jung showed that the psyche holds an intelligence that interacts with the universe in ways rational logic alone cannot explain, and that to live wisely is to pay attention to this dialogue between soul and cosmos. Recognizing synchronicity transforms the way you see yourself and your journey. It tells you that you are not alone, that your steps are part of a larger design. When you embrace these moments, you develop spiritual wisdom, learning to trust your intuition and to align with the deeper order shaping your path. Synchronicity turns life from a series of disconnected accidents into a story of connection, reminding you that every experience has the potential to awaken, transform, and reveal the hidden patterns shaping your destiny. 4. Science, spirituality, and alchemy. Jung recognized synchronicity as a profound bridge between science, spirituality, and alchemy, showing that life is not random, but deeply interconnected. In quantum physics, the observer effect revealed that consciousness can influence outcomes, and Jung saw this as evidence that the mind and the material world are intertwined. He linked this to the Hermetic principle, as above, so below, teaching that the patterns of the cosmos mirror the patterns of the human soul, and that inner transformation is always reflected outward. For him, synchronicity was not coincidence, but a sign of the hidden order uniting the seen and unseen, a message calling us toward deeper spiritual awakening. His study of Eastern texts, such as The Secret of the Golden Flower, expanded this vision, where Taoist wisdom described inner alchemy and the balance of opposites. Jung found in mandalas a living expression of the psyche's drive for harmony, symbols of wholeness that unite light and shadow, yin and yang, conscious and unconscious. These images demonstrated that spiritual growth is achieved not by denying parts of ourselves, but by embracing and integrating them into a greater whole. They revealed how the soul naturally moves toward balance and order, mirroring the cosmic design that shapes existence itself. Through this synthesis of science, spirituality, and alchemy, Jung showed that synchronicity is both a psychological truth and a spiritual law. Just as quantum theory suggests the observer plays a role in shaping reality, Jung believed awareness tunes us into currents of meaning that bring the right people, experiences, and revelations at the right time. Every synchronistic event is a reminder that your life is part of a larger tapestry woven with purpose, guiding you toward wholeness and awakening. By understanding these hidden patterns, you are invited to live with greater awareness, to see every moment as infused with meaning, and to recognize the harmony between your inner journey and the vast intelligence of the universe. 5. Synchronicity in therapy and daily life. Carl Jung revealed that synchronicity is not a random accident, but a bridge between inner experience and outer reality, showing us that life moves according to hidden patterns. In therapy, he often used this principle to help patients break free from rigid, rational thinking and to open themselves to deeper truths. The famous golden scarab incident illustrates this perfectly. A patient shared a dream about a golden scarab, and at that very moment, a scarab-like beetle appeared at the window. When Jung presented it to her, the shock of that alignment shattered her disbelief, proving that life carries meaning beyond logic. For Jung, true healing was never limited to the mind alone. It had to touch the entire person, body, mind, and spirit, because real spiritual development comes from recognizing that our lives are part of a greater cosmic pattern. Synchronicity transforms how we see our struggles. Instead of treating them as random burdens, Jung encouraged us to view them as meaningful signs, guiding us toward growth and wholeness. When we notice how dreams, encounters, and repeating symbols align with our inner states, we realize that life is a living dialogue between our soul and the universe. This is where spirituality deepens through the awareness that we are not separate, but intimately connected to a larger intelligence. Jung once wrote, "The meeting of two personalities is like the contact of two chemical substances. If there is any reaction, both are transformed." In the same way, synchronicity transforms us, because every significant moment of alignment becomes an invitation to awaken. In daily life, synchronicity can appear as a chance meeting, a song lyric that speaks directly to your heart, or a repeating number that reassures you of your path. These moments are not coincidences. They are reminders that you are guided and that your journey has meaning. They reveal a mirror between the psyche and the universe, showing that reality is not chaotic, but purposeful. By paying attention, you step more fully into spirituality, because synchronicity calls you to awaken, to align with your higher self, and to consciously engage in your own spiritual development. The more you listen, the more you recognize that you are never alone. The universe is always speaking, always guiding, always shaping you toward transformation. Stay connected with our community of spiritual wisdom by subscribing to our channel. Here, we explore Carl Jung's synchronicity and reveal how hidden patterns can guide your daily life and even transform therapy. Remember, you are deeply connected to a greater order, and every sign you notice is a reminder that life is filled with meaning and guidance. 6. The 5 types of synchronicity. Warning synchronicities arrive as life's alert system, guiding you before pivotal or stressful events unfold, showing up as sudden signs, recurring names, or unusual patterns that nudge you to pay attention. They echo the Hermetic principle of cause and effect, reminding you that nothing happens by chance, and that awareness gives you the power to prepare before the storm arrives. Confirmation synchronicities, on the other hand, appear to reassure you that you are aligned with your path, whether through repeating numbers, timely encounters, or symbols that echo your inner desires, embodying the Hermetic principle of correspondence that is within you, reflects back from the world around you. Prophetic synchronicities speak through symbols, visions, and dreams that carry hints of what is to come, giving you glimpses of future shifts and guiding you with foresight. They resonate with the principle of vibration, teaching that everything is energy and that the psyche communicates through patterns that reveal meaning when you learn to listen. Manifestation synchronicities occur when thoughts and desires take form in the physical world, proving that your mind is not just a private space, but the architect of your reality. They reveal the principle of mentalism, showing that focused thought, charged with emotion, eventually crystallizes into experience. Opportunity synchronicities emerge at the intersection of preparation and timing, when doors suddenly open in ways that perfectly match your readiness. These moments demonstrate the principles of polarity and rhythm. where cycles of challenge give way to cycles of opportunity and obstacles shift into pathways of growth. All 5 types, warning, confirmation, prophetic, manifestation, and opportunity, illustrate that synchronicity is not mere coincidence, but a language of intelligence and spiritual wisdom woven into the fabric of life. By learning to recognize and trust these patterns, you move from passively experiencing life to consciously co-creating it, seeing that every sign, every encounter, and every moment carries meaning. 7. Self-realization through synchronicity. Jung described individuation, the process of becoming your true self, as a circular journey symbolized by the mandala, where synchronicity serves as a guide leading the ego toward the self. Within this circle, every meaningful coincidence becomes a signal, reminding you that life is not random but patterned with deep significance, revealing that your inner world and the outer cosmos are intimately connected. When you begin to notice these patterns, you realize that each encounter, each moment of alignment, is a message calling you closer to wholeness. Synchronicity is more than chance. It is the universe reflecting your inner state back to you, showing that spirituality is not an abstract belief, but a lived experience of harmony between mind and world. A sudden meeting, a phrase heard at the exact moment you need it, or a challenge that forces growth all serve as evidence of this hidden order. By aligning yourself with these signs, you begin to move with life rather than against it, awakening to the truth that you are part of a larger design. As this awareness deepens, creativity flows more freely. Relationships reveal hidden lessons, and even obstacles transform into opportunities for growth. The journey becomes less about control and more about trust, as synchronicity teaches you to see meaning in every twist of the path. Each return to old experiences offers new understanding, drawing you closer to the self, just as the mandala's circle draws all lines to its center. In this way, self-realization emerges not through force, but through surrender, as synchronicity unveils the unity of soul and cosmos and guides you into the heart of spiritual awakening. And so, as we reflect on Carl Jung's insight into synchronicity, we are reminded that life is filled with hidden patterns waiting to be noticed. These moments are not random. They are invitations to trust the flow of life and to listen to the deeper wisdom that surrounds us. If this message has inspired you, don't forget to like this video, share it with someone who needs it, and subscribe to Spiritual Wisdom. Be sure to turn on the notification bell so you never miss our upcoming explorations into the mysteries of the soul and the universe.